Hi, my name is Priya. Welcome to my channel. I just really wanted to make a video today discussing the concept of desire because this is something that I've kind of struggled with on a personal level. This is really common for people who are into spirituality or kind of go down this sort of path, is that you end up viewing desire as something wrong, as egoic. Like it's egoic to want things. It's egoic to want to pursue things. And you kind of think you need to suppress all your desires in order to be spiritually enlightened. This is honestly because of a misinterpretation of Eastern teachings. Like, we've all heard the phrase, desire is the root of all suffering. A lot of people have heard that and they kind of roll with it. They're like, okay, I'm just not going to pursue anything. I'm not going to want anything. I am just going to live in the moment and, let the waves of life just hit me. Don't want anything. Don't try to achieve anything. But here's the thing. If you don't actually pursue your desires, you end up becoming a passive participant in reality. Like, you just become like a side piece in other people's conscious creations. The real problem isn't desire, it's attachment to desire. And I'm going to talk about that later if I have time. A lot of people today are not living out their true soul's desires. In fact, most people aren't. And I would go as far as to say that this is one of the main causes of all dysfunction on the planet. They're doing whatever they think that they should do, whatever they were told to do, whatever, society told them they should do. They're not actually listening to that inner voice, that inner guidance system that's telling them what they should be working towards. As a result, a lot of people feel this pain inside. They feel this subtle aching, this suffering, and they don't know what it is or what caused it. As a result, we try to numb it out. We reach for vices such as, drugs, alcohol, food, video games, porn, social media, sex, nicotine, all these sort of things, just to try to fill that void that's within us, just to try to numb that pain that is a result of us ignoring our soul's calling. I see desire as the divine roadmap to your highest self. Like, I truly do believe that every single person has their own unique and divine soul blueprint. And if they follow it, it will not only lead to your own personal fulfillment, but it will lead to the evolution of humanity as a whole. This isn't just about you. This is about the future of the planet. First, we really need to know the difference between an authentic soul-based desire and a conditioned, programmed, egoic desire. Because not all desires are authentic. A lot of them do come from conditioning. A soul-based desire, it comes from your heart. And your heart always knows what it wants and what it doesn't want. And when you think about a soul-based desire, it will feel very expansive. It'll feel like it is connecting you closer to your true self, especially when you're in the pursuit of it. It will persist over time. Like, it will stay with you no matter what. Even if you try to convince yourself out of it, even if you try to push it away, there's something about it that will it'll just be whispering in the background. Now, programmed desires. Programmed desires are often imposed by others. They're shaped by external influences, whether that be, society, social media, family expectations. They always come from the ego and the mind. They're like what you should want. And another thing is that they often don't satisfy you. They don't last that long. So even if you do pursue this thing, after a while you may realize oh, okay, this didn't actually bring me happiness. They usually just give you ego validation. They don't give you that deep soul fulfillment that you're looking for. The pursuit of a programmed desire, it will feel really heavy, like a lot of resistance. It'll feel very draining. You might have to numb yourself in some way in the pursuit of this thing. You have to use a lot of discipline. When you actually break it down and get to the root of it, a lot of the time it is based in fear, like fear of not being good enough, fear of failure. An example, if you want to be rich because of the freedom and creativity it can give you, then that could be a soul-based desire. But if you want to be rich because you want to prove something to someone, or you want that, your ego wants that validation, then that is a programmed desire. The best way to tell if something is a programmed desire or a soul-based desire, listen, if you need to persuade yourself to want something, then it's not for you. If a desire is truly a soul level desire, You do not need to convince yourself to want it. If you're trying to convince yourself to want something, you're making a pros and cons list. You're telling yourself like, oh, this thing, it's practical to want this thing. It's safe to want this thing. If I get this thing, then I will get validation. Then I will get approval from my parents. Da 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 da. Like, if you have to convince yourself from the brain, then it isn't coming from the heart. An example of this in my personal life is that a few months ago, my friend and I tried to start a marketing agency. When my friend asked me if I wanted to do it with her, she showed me examples on social media of other people with marketing agencies, and I was like, oh, like, I can do this. I have this skill set because I come from like a graphic design background. It doesn't look too challenging. It's practical. It can lead to self-employment. I'd be working with a friend and that would be fun. Maybe I can work for brands that I really care about. So it just made sense for me to do it. But it wasn't something that I really felt a soul connection toward. And overall, I just kind of kept making a list, trying to convince myself to want this thing. But for some reason, it still just didn't really sit right with me on a soul level. If you're a creative, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you do a creative task and it feels like it actually gives you energy, like it feeds you energy. Hours and hours can pass and it feels like 5 minutes. Other times, when you're trying to force yourself to do something, even if it is like creative, I guess, but it's just not aligned to you, it feels forced. Like it feels like it takes energy from you. So I was trying to do this marketing agency and it was taking a tremendous amount of effort. And every time I would try to do the simplest tasks, it would leave me feeling drained. Logically, it didn't make sense to me. Like, why am I having such a hard time doing this thing when I have the practical skills to do it? It can lead to self-employment, which is something that I really wanted. I'm doing it with my friend and that's fun. Like, why am I having such a hard time with this? On the other hand, being an artist, that is a soul-based desire for me, and it's something that has been with me my entire life. And I've honestly just recently truly admitted this to myself because I was in such denial of it for so long. Because when I think about, wanting to be an artist, I have this voice in my head come up that says like, oh, like, how are you going to make money doing that? How is it going to work out? How can you become successful doing that? But notice the difference. Notice the difference. I'm not trying to convince myself to want it. I already want it. What's happening is resistance is coming up because of conditioning and programming telling me that it's hard to do, you can't do this thing. One thing about going against your soul's desires is that it will lead to hardships and struggles in the long run. It will take twice the amount of effort to move forward and achieve anything. It's like you're swimming upstream against the current instead of with the current. You might not achieve the thing, and if you do achieve it, you'll likely realize that it's not actually what you wanted, that it actually doesn't give you the fulfillment that you were looking for. I know a guy, he pursued because that's what his parents told him to do. Now listen, his entire career was an uphill battle. He just kept facing hardship after hardship, struggle after struggle, and he kept telling himself like, oh my gosh, I just need to work harder. I just need to work harder. He's already working so hard. I was speaking to him and we were talking about astrology and I saw his birth chart and I was like, oh, like you have this sign and this sign, so you must be really good at this and you must be really into this. And you know what he told me? He was like, Priya, like, I have no idea if I'm good at that. I have no idea if I'm into that because it's never been an option for me. Like, I've never had that option to, like, explore different paths. I just did what my parents told me to do. And it's sad because, like, who knows what we are denying the world of because he pursued this thing that his parents told him to do instead of what his soul actually called him towards. I truly believe that your desires are pre-programmed into you for a reason. You desire water when you're thirsty. You desire food when you're hungry. You desire freedom when you're imprisoned. All these desires are here for a reason because it leads to survival. It leads to the progression of humanity. Desires are an integral part of evolution and the divine order of creation. They're in you for a reason. It is not even just about you. It's about humanity and like mankind as a whole. Evolution itself is built on desire and expansion. A caterpillar desires to be a butterfly. A seed desires to become a tree. A human desires to learn, create, grow, and build. If we didn't have desire, literally nothing would change or improve. The pursuit of your desire leads to growth, okay? And nature doesn't resist growth. So why should you? Just like your body naturally craves food and water to sustain itself, your soul craves certain experiences that it is meant to have. If you have a deep inner pull towards something, it's because that thing is meant to be materialized, right? You're meant to experience it. Desire isn't the enemy. It's meant to be a spiritual GPS. If you desire freedom, maybe you are meant to be an entrepreneur. If you desire, to create something or invent something, maybe you're meant to be an artist or an inventor or a scientist. Here's my hot take, okay? I truly believe that if every single person followed their soul's calling, that the world would be in perfect harmony. Like, I truly believe everything would fit together like a perfect puzzle because the right people will be doing the right work because they feel genuinely called to do it. Instead, we have this world where there could be like a politician who's born into a political family and that's just their expectation that they're meant to get into politics, but they don't actually care about politics. They don't actually want to do it. But they end up doing it anyways because that's the expectation. And they end up becoming a shit politician. And in the whole world, we all have to deal with that. A person who is meant to be an author could have written a book that would shift humanity's consciousness in a huge way. A person who is meant to be a scientist could have discovered a cure for a major disease. A person who was meant to be a musician could have written a song that would have helped millions of people emotionally. But if those people ignore their calling because of fear, societal pressure, limiting beliefs, the whole world suffers as a result. And the problem with that is society teaches people to repress their desires. They give you such a limited idea of what is possible, what can you do. From childhood, we've been taught what we should want instead of taught to listen to what our soul actually wants. A child who loves painting is told art is not a career, do something practical. A person with an entrepreneurial spirit is told, get a real job, be practical, don't take risks. As a result, people become so disconnected from their own soul's natural intelligence, their divine blueprint, their roadmap of life. Most of society is operating outside of alignment, and that's why things feel so chaotic. The universe is constantly expanding, right? It wants to experience itself in infinite ways. Your desires are a part of that expansion. When you create, when you express, when you evolve, you are fulfilling your role in the cosmic order. And the proof is everywhere. Nature is abundant. It doesn't resist growth. A tree doesn't question itself and think like, oh, am I worthy of growing taller? No. Energy wants to continue to move forward. Nothing in this universe stays stagnant. That's why desire exists in the first place. You are not a mistake. Your dreams and desires are not a mistake. It's how the universe wants to experience itself through you. What actually happens when you allow yourself to pursue your soul-based desires? First of all, you will feel alive. You will feel aligned and you will feel fulfilled. That sort of void that you feel inside will go away. You end up contributing to the world in a way that only you can. You feel this deep sense of purpose and meaning, like the thing that you were looking for your whole life is there. You end up becoming a conscious creator of life instead of just a passive observer of life, instead of just being that person on the sidelines watching other people pursue their purpose, pursue their desires, while you're just stuck doing this shit that you don't even want to do. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about the desire as the root of all suffering thing, though I do kind of feel like this video is getting pretty long and that might need its own video. But the whole idea that desires are all evil and wrong and egoic, when you get to the root of it, it is fear disguising itself as spiritual detachment. It's a way to avoid the discomfort of pursuing something different while still feeling righteous about it. It's fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort disguising itself as spiritual wisdom. If you tell yourself that desire itself is a problem, then you don't have to take action and you don't have to risk failure. Being seen is terrifying. Putting yourself out there is vulnerable. Pursuing success means you could face rejection and failure. So instead of confronting those fears, a lot of people will tell themselves that wanting success and going after your goals and your desires is all egoic and low vibrational. But you know, it's not real spirituality, it's just self-protection. I truly believe that in the West, we have completely misinterpreted the Buddhist teaching of desire is the root of all suffering, and what they're really talking about is attachment to the desire, like attachment of it needing to unfold a certain way, of, you know, not being happy unless you have this thing. Instead, the key is to desire freely, allow yourself to desire, take action, but stay detached. Don't worry about the outcome. And this is the whole paradox, okay? This is like the big paradox in spirituality and manifestation, right? If you keep telling yourself, I want this thing, you will continue to manifest the state of wanting that thing. You have to understand that the world is built on other people's desires, okay? Every single law, every single social structure, every single system, cultural norm was created by somebody who had that desire and then took action on it. So if you do not create your own version of reality, if you do not act on your own desires, you will automatically fall into the vision that someone else created. So people who think desire is suffering, that's not true. The real suffering comes from ignoring your soul's calling and becoming a victim of other people's lives. Every great thing in this world came from a desire that somebody had followed. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will speak to you next week. Bye!